Hey, what is up, traders? This is Stan Gluzman here with 7 Points Capital, bringing to you today's trader takeaways. So first of all, let's look at SPY. We have very volatile, very choppy today, but overall, as you can see on a daily, I mean, this is pretty crazy. We have a range bound, so whatever's happening in this range, I'm just scalping while we're here. If we break out, I'll be more long biased. If we break down, obviously more short biased. But for now, I'm just scalping my way to financial freedom. Let's take a look at the stuff. I've been really concentrating on small caps. I've found my more of an edge than in large caps. I've been trading small caps much better than large caps, so I'm just sticking to that. This morning we had a few really good gappers. The best one, MYOS. It still hasn't played out. It probably will drop, and here we go. I just scalped it. In the morning, I started to size in very small. Let me pull up the execution. I mean, first of all, look at the daily chart. This pretty much can tell you the story. So if you dig in, do some fundamentals, you can find some dirt on this company. It scored pretty high on my fader scale. We got 82 out of 100, which is pretty high. So chances are this will fade back to earth. So these are my executions here. I started to scale in a little bit pre-market, started adding a little bit, maybe quarter size or 1/3 about that with a wide stop, and then we washed out. I covered about half of that and then got back in full size. So once I'm getting back in full size, I've already traded around core a little bit, so now I can move the stop down a little bit, and I got in pretty decent size. So on the washout, I'm taking bits and pieces a little bit at a time, because I don't know where the bottom is. I know that chances are it'll wash out and pop back to VWAP. So by this candle right here, I was trailing it. Here, so we broke that, so I got out the rest. Missed this one because I had a few positions open. Missed this scalp right here, but got in this one. Decent size also, pretty much stopped just above this 95, whatever this price is, 94. Stopped just above this one, and then got out into the big washout, the VWAP test. Missed this one again because I was managing a few positions. This was a really good entry here. $2 test, fail for the big drop back to the 60s and 70s. Probably would have still been holding a little bit, because here we broke VWAP, tested and failed. Maybe would have been adding here, but I don't want to be adding now because we can easily squeeze. So this was a really good. This was my second best stock, actually. The first one was SFIX. This one I traded because yesterday we had, what was the stock yesterday? VT something. Let me see. Never mind. I don't remember. Hold on. So yesterday we had one big drop in the stock, and SFIX looked pretty much exactly the same. Big gap down, earnings. So started shorting it. Let's see SFIX here on this chart. So as you can see, we gapped on a daily through a big level. This 2260s. So we gapped through it. So I'm thinking everybody who was long here, which is quite a few, and then of course here as well. So everybody's underwater here and here as well, but this is more significant because this is more recent. So we gap down, and I'm thinking at the open, if this doesn't bounce, it's gonna have a big washout, and that's pretty much exactly what happened. Started shorting in here with a tight stop. We washed out and traded around core a little bit, and I lost the chart again. There it goes. So started shorting, we broke down. Oops. started shorting pre-market, scalped it a little bit, covered some more, re-added, covered some more, re-added near the open. So now I've traded around core a little bit, so now I can size up a little bit more, sized in a little bit more, and then we washed out really hard. I really underestimated. I started taking bits and pieces here, and we had a really tight consolidation, so I just covered the rest because I'm pretty much trading in scalp mode right now. So I covered, so this was the biggest chunk that I covered down here in 1980s. I was thinking maybe we pop at least a VWAP, maybe test the previous resistance, but we never really did. We just kind of washed out much lower. So now we're just going sideways, and there's no edge for me to get involved. So I didn't want to chase it down here, because I'm thinking there's maybe another 20-30 cents of downside for 20-30 cent risk. So I don't want to put myself in that 1-to-1 risk reward right now, especially that SPY is just kind of chopping. At the time it was just going up and down, so I don't want to be involved in that. So this was actually my biggest winner on the day. Then we had let's see, UXIN. So we just made a new high here, so this is pretty incredible what it's doing. So we had 1, 2, 3, fourth green day in a row. So yesterday I traded it very small. I faded it a little bit here. I believe I was not involved in this one, but I did pretty much pick the top and then scalped it here, a couple of trades. And then today I was thinking, this is day 4 now. If we pop and we hold this double top here, we may just drop for the rest of the day here. We have a long way down. We need to pull back a little bit, and we're just holding. This is really unusual, right, for the stock to be green 4 days in a row. Went from $3 to almost $6. So I did trade this UXIN on the short side. So this is just all tape reading for me. Started scaling in a little bit, and once we rejected, added a little bit more here, and just covered into the big wash. And that's it. That's the trade for me. That's a very predictable move that I can catch probably 8 times out of 10, or even 9 times out of 10. I was watching this consolidation for the big breakdown here, but I did not want to put on any more risk for a smaller edge. This is the biggest edge for me because I can read the tape and I can kind of spot where the soaking is, and I know there's going to be a sharp turnaround. But here this is a consolidation, so I would be betting on continuation, and this is more of a 50-50, maybe 60-40 to the downside. But here I was thinking potentially drop. We wicked out into the VWAP, rejected for the drop. I was just watching it. I did not get involved, and we reversed. So we kind of reversed here. So double FU moves here. So this is pretty interesting. This is why I scalp now, right now in this volatile market, because of moves like that. So this was a pretty decent winner. And then the next one was ARDM. I'm not entirely sure why this went up. It wasn't at the time. I think somebody might have pumped it. So, but the offers were there. I saw it on my scanner. There's massive offers at 117, 120 in this area. Crazy offers. So I just took some. Didn't go in too big because I know. We could have easily blown through those offers, but didn't get in too big. But basically my risk was that offer at 17, so I was risking like 2-3 cents, and I knew that once we turn around and drop, there's going to be a sharp drop, and I want to cover into that drop. So I covered all the way down to like 94, and we got halted. So I really underestimated how far this could drop. We went back almost to the open. So that was a really nice trade. And then the one that I really screwed up in, this is really embarrassing, this is a huge mistake. There was another gapper was, I'm going to show executions later, YRIV. So this one, it has a pretty scary daily. The reason it's scary is because of this candle right here, where we dropped one day. Let me see if I can do this right here, where we dropped from 1160 to 740, and then we popped back to 1245, right? So this thing can really move, and it can really turn around. So it turned around here, and then it turned around here. So I did my analysis on it. We did it in our office together. We got a very high score of a fader, 90, right? So 90 out of 100, which was even higher than MYOS. So I knew this was a short according to my strategy, according to my research, and I wanted to be involved. So usually I don't trade pre-market, but in this scenario, I'm thinking this is going to fade all day, so I want to be involved. The problem here is that there's two issues. First issue is that the stock can turn around and rip up 5 points in 3 candles, and we've seen it here. Maybe not 5 candles, but it can definitely come back up really easy. The issue number 2 is that the spread was really crazy. It was like maybe 75 cents at times. So it's hard to get in with a nice average, because if I'm hitting the bid is at 10 bucks, the offer is at 10.50. You know, you kind of paying that 50-cent spread, and that's not a very good price. So I was trying to hit it right here, but somebody just took it out and we dropped, so I was a little bit anxious to get in, and I started getting in here, and you probably can guess what happened after when it popped. I got squeezed out and I took a loss on the short, which was a huge mistake. In hindsight, of course, I should have waited for the pop, and then for a topping pattern, or even better yet, waited for the open to short. I would have been involved right here, probably full size or maybe even half size, and added on a break of VWAP. But I'll show the executions. YRIV. So started getting in, adding a little bit, and I actually tried to scale out, but there was no liquidity at all. I only got out a couple hundred shares, and I thought this topped out, so I added that back. So it didn't add too much size, and it started breaking. I mean, they were bidding up also, or showing huge bids, and there was some soaking, but it would soak and then it would break the offer. So I took off. I basically wiped this offer, and then I still had some size, and I'm thinking, just give me a pullback to my average here, and I'll just be all out. So we got a pullback. I got out, and of course it just faded for the rest of the day. This would have been like a 10-hour trade or something if I got in here short, added in the money. This would have been a massive trade had I just waited for the open. So this is probably one of my worst trades in terms of execution and in terms of patience and execution. This is one of my worst performances, and this is something that I'm going to journal about today. I only got out for 1 hour loss about that, so it's not, not anything crazy, but it just sucks to take a loss on such a high conviction trade that went in my direction. So this is something I'm going to journal about today. Other than that, a pretty good day. Probably up like 5-6 hours on a day or so. So can't complain. Just this one. So thank you guys for watching. If you have questions, you can tweet at me at @YourKindaTrader, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.